We have Rob Gronkowski and Chris Gronkowski in the house, fellas. April 15th, big day, returning to the alma mater of Arizona, and you, Rob and Chris, captains for the spring game. It's a big deal in college football. Guys, talk to me about this.
Yes, well, first off, Mike Babcock, you and I are family. Mojo and I'm not sure what we are. We're kind of like arch rivals. We're enemies with each other. But you and I, we're family. We go way back. We're going to be together forever with TMZ. I'm going to be your co-host forever. But yes, my brother Chris and I, we are going to be the head coaches for the Arizona Wildcats spring football game, baby. And guess what? He's the head coach for one of the teams. I'm the head coach for the other team. And also, I have the best assistant coach, first round pick, Antoine Kaysen, baby, out of the University of Arizona as well. He will be my assistant coach, and we will be taking down Chris G, April 15th. Let's go. Bear down, baby.
Chris G, a response.
Yeah. I mean, that's not even going to happen because, back when we went to college together, there was a lot of competitions. I could tell you right now, I won a lot of them, especially the slip and slide competition where I slid all the way from the front door all the way out the back door. And that couldn't have been.
I mean, Chris, Rob just talked about his assistant coach. Who you got on your staff? I know you're not coming in solo.
That's a great question. I didn't really do my research before this interview, and I'm not really sure who my assistant coach is.
Chris has a wonderful assistant coach, but I'm glad he hasn't done his research, but I'm not going to let him know. I'm not going to tell him here. He's got a wonderful defensive back that played at the University of Arizona about a couple years before we got there. He played in the league for quite some time and a great player. So can anyone take a guess?
Hold on. A great player at Arizona? I don't know of any, actually, so I have no guess.
Oh, wow. And that's why you are not family with Rob.
Yeah. Hey, I got a question. Chris, you went to the University of Arizona with me. Isn't that correct? You transferred from the University of Maryland. Why did you transfer from the University of Maryland, Chris? What was the reason?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I was there. My freshman year was awesome. And then I was going to my sophomore year. This player came in, he transferred there. And this guy just was never hyped. He wasn't jacked. He was actually pretty sloppy.
Wow.
And he would just all day, every practice was just so annoying. And it got to the point where I was like,
low energy.
Yeah, it was terrible. So I just ended up the guy never partied either. Like he was so loud on the field and made so much noise. And then off the field, he just sat inside and studied all day. So I decided at that point that I don't ever want to really be a teammate of someone like that. So I transferred to the University of Arizona.
Who are you talking about, Chris? It's some of this sounds like it's very personalized.
Yeah. Back then, his name was Dean Mutati.
Hey, Michael, I was actually going to go to the University of Arizona. I mean, the University of Maryland. I mean, It made so much sense. I had my brother Dan there. I had my brother Chris there. And then I took an official visit and I just saw this player on their roster. He was so sloppy and out of shape. And I was like, yo, bro, you must party like crazy. He goes, actually, I don't drink or I don't party. And I was like, wait a second. That's the exact opposite of what I want from a college.
Wow.
I want people that are crazy, that party and get wasted. And this player that I talked to said he doesn't do any of that. So I was like, Maryland, cross off. Chris, how about you come to the University of Arizona with me? And that's how we got to the University of Arizona, Michael.
Mojo, do you have a response?
So let me just clarify. You're saying the reason Rob Gronkowski didn't go to the University of Maryland was because of Dean Mutati breaking all the weight room records and embarrassing his brother Chris so badly that he had to transfer and leave and sobbed in the confessional every day for hours on end. So you're saying that is why the Terps never got Gronk?
That must have been a couple years after that.
It's okay. We kept Dan. We like Dan better than you two. Anyways, let's get back to the game here for a second. Guys, I know there's going to be a bet on this thing. What happens to the loser? What's the challenge here?
Man.
Oh man.
Yet? I don't know.
I think we decided. We talked about it. Well, Chris G, actually, he always dominated me in pounding beers. I was never a guy that could pound beers well, but Chris G could. And he always went to the store and he bought the 30 pack for us. He was 21 years old. So I never drank in college because I was never old enough. But I mean, I always did those O'Douls or whatever that have no alcohol on them.
You were not drinking O'Douls.
I was, because I wasn't allowed to have drinks because I was under 21. But Chris G would come back with a 30-pack and he would pound 15 of them a night. It was unbelievable. While I pounded 15 O'Douls and was just staying sober. But so I thought, to make this bet fair and square, that the loser has to pound 15 beers from the time you lose the game to the time the night's over. So I would say by 11 p.m. that you have, because the game's going to end at like 6. So you got to at least pound 15 beers throughout a 5-6 hour period after the game, whoever loses it.
I mean,
That's doable.
I'll take that bet as long as it's in, an ice cold ice shaker that I could pound my beer out.
Oh, and that's
Especially if it says it on it.
Oh, that's good to know, because if I lose, I'm going to have my half-gallon ice shaker so I can fit at least 5 of the beers in here at one time. So if I just pound 3 of these full of beers, that's about 15 beers right there. That's a challenge, and that will be completed if I lose. I will live up to the challenge. I will pound 15 beers if Chris's team wins.
Wow. I'm in.
Yeah. Go ahead, Chris.
Man, that's the 3 half gallons. That's actually a good way to look at it.
When you say it like that, it sounds like a lot of beer.
Yeah, that's a good challenge. I'm in. Are funnels allowed?
Funnels are definitely allowed. They're recommended.
Okay. They're preferred.
They're preferred. Well, all right. Well, this is going to get settled a week from Saturday. Rob, because we are family, as you said, I've got to ask you an NFL question, because I can't let you go. They'll fire me if I do not. I think the last time we spoke, which was way too long ago, you said, in the words of the great movie Dumb and Dumber, you never know. As far as a possible return to the NFL field, where are you now a year later? A year kind of hanging out, enjoying retirement, doing fun things. I would think you'd be even further away from thinking about football. Where are you though, Rob?
Well, Michael, let me tell you this. We are family, so yes, you got to ask this question. I always like to ask this question. There's no doubt about it. But I'm not dumb or dumber anymore. So that answer is out the window. Because now I am the dumbest. All right.
Does that mean no?
There's no chance anymore. I'm happily retired. I actually picked up pickleball. I beat my brother Chris, who plays with pros, and my other brother Gord, who plays with pros too. And I beat him with an average Joe. My other brother Glenn G was my partner. And Gord, who are these professional pickleball players who play every day, and Glenn, who hasn't even stepped out of his house in a month, and I, who played once in my life, we beat them. So I'm happily retired. I'm still competing. I'm still winning. So I don't even need to go back to football.
And it was an epic comeback, wasn't it, in this pickleball game? Weren't you down big and you led a charge?
No, that was another time.
Oh, that was another time. That was with
he's
Mojo.
only played once. He's only played once, though.
that other time didn't count.
Rob, rank the bros in best to worst in pickleball here. Obviously, Chris is last because he's not even strong enough to lift the paddle because he's so weak. But how about the other 4?
Yeah, but he's really good with hitting balls. All right.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
All right, let's go before we all get canceled.
Gotta rank 'em. I got to hear the ranking. I mean, Gord's a professional.
All right, well, Chris G. Well, no, Dan's G's last because he still never played the game. So Dan G's automatically last right now. And then you got I don't know. Chris G's pretty good. It depends on the day. I would say we could switch between Chris and I as the first, in first place, depending on the day. Who's more on fire. And then I would say Glenn G and Gord are about 2 and 3, and then you can switch them as well depending on the day. Glenn's fingers might be a little wet because he used to suck them, so if he grabs the paddle Michael flying, so he might not be good that day. And then Dan G, I would say, is last because he just hasn't played yet.
Because his fingers are wet because he sucks them. Word is on the street when he was a starting fullback for the Buffalo Bills, he was still sucking his thumb at night. Is that true?
I don't know. I got to ask him. I wasn't there. I'm pretty sure he wouldn't tell people that if he was doing that. But if we can call up Reagan, his girlfriend, I'm sure she would release that info, and that would be very kind of her.
Okay, we are Mojo is going to make that call right now. Rob with the ice shaker. Let's see which one is that, Rob?
Hey, Mojo, this ice shaker goes perfectly with you right now. I like that cutoff you have. So there you go. This red one's for you, Mojo. Babcock, you have the same red one. It looks
Red
beautiful.
one too.
You want to
TMZ.
know? You want to know who I'm going to look like after I lose the spring game and have to pound 15 beers? I'm going to be so bloated. I'm going to look like Mojo. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to be so happy.